it's time to rev up the engine. It's the Eurosport Super Racing Weekend.
Yokohama, power of performance.
Well, welcome to the A1 ring for Super Racing Weekend. To come, we've got 2 European Super Touring races, and we've got 1 Super Production race as well as the FIA GT Championship. The commentary team, Jamie Davis, always quick to the point, whether he's racing, testing or talking. My name's Tony Delahunty, and you've got a cracking programme ahead of you. Well, there the A1 ring, and a circuit that was developed and redeveloped, and one that Jamie Davis knows well.
Yeah, you know, it's a great circuit. Very tricky actually on the setup of the cars, but you know, the drivers tend to enjoy it. It's a little bit Mickey Mouse in places, but again, you know, you just got to work really hard with the engineers to try and get the best out of the car.
Well, in a moment we'll look at the circuit map. You can see we're going to start with the Super Touring cars. Race 1, Race 2, they reverse the results. Very shortly we'll get a trip round the circuit with Fabrizio Giovanardi. We can hear what he thinks about it. And I think we'll be welcomed by him very shortly. Goes up to the Castle curve it starts with, then the Remus curve, then Costa curve, and Jochen Rindt before coming back for the start and finish.
Hello, I'm Fabrizio Giovanardi. Welcome to Austria, and now I will show you one lap in this circuit.
Yes, well, that's the limit of his English for the moment. I can tell you what he's saying is we're going to do a fast lap of the Dietwig circuit. It's a start and finish straight first of all. We reach a top gear 6. Then we come up to the right-hand corner. It's a 90-degree corner, which we take in second gear. Now from there, very fast at the turn. First uphill, and then you move into 6th gear. And there's a right-handed hairpin right at the top of the hill. You go all the way down to 1st gear, and you turn into the hairpin. Then another long straight. They move again up to 6th gear. And now we move on to the most difficult part of the circuit, into a 2nd gear hairpin. And they turn right in on the outside of the corner, or the inside of the corner, depending on which way you're looking at that. Up through the gears 3rd, 4th and 5th. Into the first very fast corner. Take it in 3rd gear, flat out into 4th. Then the power on. Through 4th and 5th gear. And arriving very quickly at the right-hander. Into 3rd gear. Very difficult now because it's downhill. It's on a slope from right to left as well. And then the last corner before the start and finish straight. That lap with Fabrizio Giovanardi, who will certainly be right at the pointed end of the race. And we're going to start with the first of the Super Touring car races in just a moment. Well, we're straight into it. It's round 7. And you're looking there at the car of Gabriele Tarquini in pole position. Next to him, Fabrizio Giovanardi. So it's Italians that dominate the first 2 rows. Giovanardi's teammate Nicola Larini on the 2nd row with Concierge. There's the championship points. So you see the 2 Italian teammates with Alfa Romeos were 1st and 2nd. Great number of Italian drivers. Tarquini was very, very quick yesterday when we saw him in practice, Jimmy.
Yeah, Tarquini's car looked, you know, it was balanced well, looked very good through the infield on the two quick left-hand corners, looked very committed and able to drive the car very quick and very smooth.
Giovinazzi got into the 136s, just into the 136s, and Larini just nicked in at the very last minute, getting into the 136s as well. Those three, very much the class of the field, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think Larini was lucky. He had some traffic, I think, on the last flying lap, and I think he was able to get one more lap out of the tyres, which before the checker flag came out, which managed to get him there on the grid. So you know, he's in good position really for the start of the race.
Fabrice Wolfsbeek had some problems yesterday, but eventually managed to haul himself up to 5th fastest. He had electrical problems before that. Gianluca De Lorenzi, one of the amateur drivers, likely to go very quickly. He was, in fact, the quickest of the amateur drivers. He's on the 3rd row with a BMW. And the interesting format for race 2 of this, because they just reverse the grid from wherever you finish, you start at the back if you win it.
For sure, it looks interesting, yeah.
And there's the red light. About to go to green it has gone.
It's a good start for Tarquini.
It looked like a good start for Tarquini, but then it seemed to slow just as it went out of picture there.
It could have been just as the tyres were gripping and maybe a slight wheel spin to start with.
Because now we have, in fact, got the man who was on the other side of the front row, Giovinazzi, and in fact, it's Tarquini has dropped back a couple of places. He's fighting back straight away. Cosieggio was up there also. And Cosieggio with the Audi A4 Quattro. Oh, he's passed. So Tarquini's gone through into 2nd place, but it's Giovinazzi in 1st place. Now, yesterday, clearly the class of the field was Gabriele Tarquini. He's going to have to fight back, but he's going to have to fight back also to get past the man who's just overtaken him, Fabrizio Giovinazzi. So if you can just go through that again, it looks to me as well like he made a very good start, and then maybe the tyres didn't, the adhesion didn't carry through.
Yeah, I think he picked up well on the green light. You know, he got the actual car moving very fast, but possibly picked up slight wheel spin, and then when he backed off the throttle and just to try and pick up the grip again, that obviously then bogged the car down, and he lost the positions. But he just needs to play it cool now, really, and you know, look at the race.
Well, look at Larini. Larini's gone very wide there, very wide indeed. He's got all sorts of problems. He's passed by 1, 2, 3, 4 cars there. So Larini with all sorts of problems in the other Alfa Romeo, as somebody goes grass wide all over the place. My goodness, that was Paolo Zadra with the BMW. But at the front, I think that it's still Giovinazzi that's got it. And he's being hard chased now by Gabriele Tarquini with the Honda Accord. So it's Alfa from Honda Accord. Then it's Cosieggio with the Audi. Then Wolfsbeek. Then De Lorenzi, who is making his fastest time as the amateur stick. He's the leading amateur in the race at the moment, in 5th place ahead of Lancelotti. Another Alfa Romeo there, so that's BMW from Alfa Romeo. But at the front, and Larini coming in, probably done all his tyres.
Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, maybe he's flat-spotted them, or he's picked up, you know, some gravel on the tyres, and maybe he's got an actual problem with one of the tyres, which is why he went off. Not really sure.
The man who's 2nd in the championship isn't going to score an awful lot of points. They'll be eager to get him out. It's a high point scoring system, is this? There's 40 for a win. And the man looking for the win at the moment is Giovinazzi, and Tarquini is starting to show himself here. He's going to line himself up here. I don't think the move is actually yet quite on. It'll be on in a second or two, because he's easing his way through. Yes, he's got it through there. And now they're going to have to turn again quickly into the next corner. Tarquini sized that up, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he just played it cool. He knew he had speed in hand from qualifying yesterday. Just basically came into the Castro curve, the first corner. Just kept it cool. He knew that the chap in front was blocking, so he just went to the outside, got a run through the corner, able to get on the power soon, and then took the corner.
40 points for victory, 35. Just having a little look there, but coming through on the speed line, Tarquini with no real problem at all, although Giovinazzi hasn't given up yet, and he closes back up on him, but it's the Honda that leads from the Alfa. 5 points spread between the winner of this race and second, and in the championship overall, Giovinazzi is a long way ahead, but there's still 3 more rounds to go, 6 races to go after the races today. and there's that move again being shown through. He really worked that out. He knew he had the extra power to be able to do it.
Yeah, he knew he had track position there. He just positioned the car correctly on the circuit so that he could get a quicker exit and then take him down into the Remus corner. So that just worked out perfect for him.
That's Wolfish going through there to go into third place with the other Honda Accord. So Cosiejo with the Audi A4 Quattro demoted to fourth place for the moment. And I think he'll stay in that fourth place. And I'm wondering whether Fabrice Wolfish can get after the second place man. I think he's probably a bit off the pace, remembering yesterday only 3 drivers got into the 1 minute 36s. One of those is way at the back of the grid. And Jamie Davis, that's going to be an interesting situation because he'll obviously make up a little bit of time coming through. He'll be able to use it as a test session, whatever. But when he starts the second race, he'll probably be in pole with Larini.
Exactly, yeah. You know, he's going to be looking good for the second race, that's for sure. So
Larini in pole, Tarquini at the back. Oh, yes,
make for a great race.
Stirring stuff ahead. And Tarquini now 6 laps completed. Open the gap to Giovanardi to 0.868. Wolfish is some 5 seconds off the pace. Then Cosiejo, De Lorenzi, Sardelli. But Tarquini, very much the man of the moment. And the Honda Accord seems, as you said yesterday, Jamie, ideally suited to this circuit.
Yeah, it's just working well. The guys have done obviously a good job with the balance of the car. They've seemed to have got the circuit pretty well sussed. Tarquini's driving well, just keeping a cool head, not making any mistakes, and he's able to just edge out that gap.
36.8, 136.8 fastest lap of the race so far. Gabriele Tarquini with the Honda Accord on his way, and barring something going wrong, as we see there, that was Gianluca De Lorenzi going through with a very orangey car. The BMW leading amateur in the race. And Larini trying to make up some time now. Might set the fastest lap or something like that.
You never know, he's gone a bit wide on that one.
Fire out award, that isn't him actually. that is the number 3 car going very wide of Romano Bernardoni. Another Alfa Romeo 156.
I think that's what you call slight understeer.
Yeah, you know, that was a dive for the inside really, which sort of went all wrong.
I think, yeah, just carried far too much speed into the corner there.
There's been a good little battle before that with these 3, but the battle is no longer got Romano Bernardoni as any part of it, and that round is 16. Eric Cairol, the French driver who's been going steadily in this race. He's going to lose a couple of positions there.
Just dicing, obviously, with one of the other guys. And
Paolo Zadra has gone through ahead of him, but right at the front, absolutely no problems on the last lap for Gabriele Tarquini. Poleman dropped to third by the first corner. Declaration of intent, forced his way through to second, picked his moment. Nothing Giovanardi could do about it on the Honda Accord. Driver will put himself on the top of the pile. His reward back at the grid for the next race.
That's great, yeah.
An interesting way to do it, and he takes the checkered flag and the applause from his teammate. So it's Tarquini with the Honda Accord. Didn't lead from start to finish, but by the second lap was on his way, having dropped originally, as I said, to third place. Delighted to do it. And there, official confirmation, Wolfish in third place, putting Giovanardi in a Honda Accord sandwich. Then it's Cosiejo, De Lorenzi and Sardelli. So 5 Italians in the top 6. Lancelotti finishes in 7th place. Bernardoni, who had that defiant manoeuvre down the inside.
A good start.
More on him in a moment.
It was very important for the championship that you overtook Fabrizio to get the win. Can you tell us about that overtake?
Yeah, it was the speed of the 2 cars very similar. I think Fabrizio was the fastest on the straight, but my car on the corner, especially on the slow corner, was better than his car. And for this reason, under braking here, I make a full hard braking. He was on the right, and on the exit I was much faster than him, and I overtook him.
And then in the second race, it looks like you're going to have to do the same and overtake Fabrizio again.
Yeah, it's another story, you know. With the reverse grid, everything can happen. At my position, it's better on second race because, I mean, Fabrizio be happy about second place for the championship, sure. but I think that will be a strong and tough race.
Well, he was the winner, and he was delighted, but he's got it all to do from the back of the grid. Now, the point situation gets a little bit closer anyway, only 5 points difference that Tarquini's gained there. He's now on 354, but he's made up a good queue on Larini, who finished way down and will start in pole position, or certainly on the front row of the grid. But really not that much of an improvement for the chasing of Tarquini, of the man who's in the lead of the championship, Giovanardi. Look back at what happened at the beginning of it all. And already there, Tarquini starting to have a look. And he gets inside Giovanardi. Judges it well, and there's nothing really that Giovanardi can do about it. But what can Tarquini, from the back of the grid, do about the very quick also Larini, who's right at the front? You want to find out? Only one place to be, right here with us. Back in a second. Welcome back, and as promised, it's race 2 of the European Super Touring cars at the A1 ring. This is very interesting because it's a reverse grid, and you wouldn't give Tarquini a chance of winning it, really, would you? Because 136.8, he set the fastest lap, but so too, after Larini had been into the pits, he set one of 136.8 also.
It's going to be very tough for Tarquini for sure. I mean, the last place you want to be is at the back of the grid, so he's just going to have to be extremely careful for the opening lap. Try and pick off as many cars as he can, but don't get any trouble. You know, that's the biggest worry.
An upside down grid
makes it tricky.
Yeah, Mikko Lampinen at the time of 140.323. He was the slowest in the last race, and the man next to him was the quickest, equal quickest. Anyway, 136.8, and Tarquini, and of course Giovanardi's right at the back with him. And then the first, second, third, so on, are on the back rows of the grid.
I mean, if I was Larini now, I'd feel fairly comfortable. You know, he's obviously, the car's quick enough. He's on the front row, so you know, this should be a good race then.
But those boys at the back, you know, it'd be nice to watch them coming through, wouldn't it?
Oh, for sure. It's going to be a very interesting, great race to watch, I think.
Back to your karting days, that, isn't it?
It's going to be
won the British Championship doing that, starting off on the back of the grid and Eats and winning them.
It's going to be.
What happened to you since then?
still in the sports cars at the moment.
Just in the. I mean, you had looked in '97 like you might make it all the way to Formula 1. Is that just out the window now?
No, it's not out the window at all. I'm still talking to Formula 1 teams at the moment for a test drive for possibly next season, but. You know, it's just incredibly tough to break into that. You know, it's a number.
You raced against Montoya. You raced with Montoya, same team as Montoya. You were, I mean, in qualifying sessions, you were sometimes quicker than he was.
That's right. Yeah.
Doesn't it hurt?
It does sometimes, yeah. But you know, it's life. You have to make do with with what you've got, and you have to just keep trying, keep pushing forward.
Great having you with us, Jamie Davis, commentating. But I know you'd rather be in the car because half the time we're sitting next to you in our commentary booth. Your arms and legs are moving, your feet are going, your head's fighting the G-force. Well, let's see what can happen now. Remember, Larini in the box seat, if you like, light on red, second of the European Super Touring car round. He had to go into the pits after going off in the first one, when he's gone off in style with this second one as well. Mikko Lampinen, the Finnish driver with the Audi A4 Quattro, no match at all there. And Heinrich, that's Heinrich Simonzik, the German driver, and he really took the Opel Vectra everywhere and loose and onto the gravel. Going up quite quickly was Robert Cosiejo, but he can carry on. Heinrich. And he's got a problem there, hasn't he? Cosiejo has got a problem. Now we are on board trying to cut through the grid from the back with Tarquini and Giovanardi. But Larini out in the front, and you know, when you're out in the front, you really should get away, shouldn't you?
You should just try and make a break now, really. You know, don't make any mistakes. Don't look at the mirrors too much. Just concentrate on what's on front, and just try and keep moving forward. Some
bodywork hanging on in there.
Yeah, that's going to be a big problem there. That's going to wear down the sidewall on the tyre, and wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't go flat pretty soon.
I think Walfish was having a bit of a problem too, but right up at the front, it's Larini. And Larini, as Jamie Davis is saying, trying to get away. And the men chasing him are the ones that have got to come through from the back. Tarquini, Giovanardi, the championship leader. Tarquini, who won the first race. and by that inherited the very back of the grid for this second one. And if he can win from there, it'll prove the Honda Accord very well set up for this circuit, with of course a very good driver driving it as well. But Giovinazzi, who is ahead at the moment of Tarquini.
He's got a massive lead already.
From the end of the first lap, Cairoli
with a 4.5 second lead after the first lap.
Yeah, 4.5 second. Lemponen could be slowing up the field a little bit because he is a lot slower. I mean, that indication that is 4 seconds in the lap. But the Finnish driver will undoubtedly get quicker. At the moment, all he can do is look ahead and watch and see that...
replay at the start here.
Yeah, and that's
the Alpha
again,
going for the lunge.
Simon Zeke going with the Opel Vectra very much up into the gravel, but he does manage to continue. But that slows them all up at the back, which allows Larini at that time, Nicola Larini, to get a little further away with the Alpha 156.
Flailing parts there, looks like a tyre maybe.
I'm just looking to see how they are coming through the field. Tarquini, Giovinazzi, Wolfish was held up also. There's a bit of a rubbing together happen there, isn't there?
The tyre about to come off of the car there.
Yeah.
That's a replay on.
I think he's going to have to try and get into the pits as fast as, as slow as he can.
There it goes.
Yep, it's gone. Too late. Larini right up at the front.
Larini in this situation now, I mean, with that type of lead, I mean, he's just got to keep his concentration. As long as he keeps concentration, keeps the car, you know, nice and neat and tidy on the track, then he's going to be laughing.
Oh, Sardelli goes round and round. Manages to get into the right direction in the end with a Nissan Primera. I think his race is looking to have very much been extinguished.
It's going to end up being a test day now, provided he hasn't damaged any more of the car.
So Sardelli drops to the back of the field. The front still Larini. Have a look at that again.
Not much grip when it's on the bare rim, obviously.
Very well to get it back going in the right direction eventually, doesn't he? Well, still at the front. We just saw going past there Larini. A gap of 6.443 seconds. They've completed 2 laps. But you see Giovinazzi now up into 6th place already. Tarquini, who will hunt him down in 3rd position. Well, that's going to be an interesting battle. All right, they may not catch the man right at the front, Nicola Larini, with the Alfa Romeo. He, of course, started right on the front row. But the battle between the two of them, one wonders whether Giovinazzi will be able to hold off the man he couldn't hold off in the first race, Gabriele Tarquini.
What they need to be careful of now is they're not going to hold each other up, obviously. I mean, you know, they want to be pushing to get up to Larini, and if they start fighting between themselves, then they're obviously going to help Larini break away, make even more of a gap, so they need to be careful of that fact.
Larini is, of course, lying in 2nd place in the championship, be it that Tarquini has closed down that lead between 2nd and 3rd, and it's Fabrizio Giovinazzi who leads the championship at the moment. And that's a back marker up ahead. Larini really trying to get away from them all. And that's a change. That is, Tarquini has gone through. Tarquini, I don't know how he got past or where he got past, but the superior power definitely told for Gabriele Tarquini. So the Honda Accord has moved into 2nd place. 7.3 seconds, 3 laps gone. Is it over? Is it over?
It'll be interesting to see what Tarquini can do. His car is really working well. I mean, like he said in the interview earlier, through the slow corners, he's able to carry so much speed through the slow corners. Car looks well balanced.
But even if he had a second a lap, it's 7 laps away from even being in a position to challenge.
Yeah, he's got his work cut out for sure, unless you know, Larini makes some stupid mistake.
No, we didn't see the overtaking manoeuvre there, but Giovinazzi clearly not able to hold this man. So he was probably holding him up before as well. So there is a fair deal of speed that Tarquini has. He was almost half a second quicker than Larini in practice, but they both shared the same time, the same fastest lap in the first race, difference being Larini started from pole, this man started dead last.
Larini definitely trying setting the fast lap of the race just then.
So Larini hoping to win and get
Tarquini
maximum points. Tarquini getting nearer and nearer. Wolfish is threatening fourth place at the moment. Third place, Giovanardi. Giovanardi, I think, perhaps content to stay in that third place at the moment.
Just doesn't look like he's got, you know, he just hasn't the speed in hand now. Tarquini's car's just
Keep the
working a
car
little bit much
together,
better.
he's leading the championship
Exactly.
by a bunch of points.
Exactly.
He's only dropped 5 points, he'll drop just a few points off on this one.
That's right.
Again, so over the whole meeting, maybe only 10 points adrift, as long as he keeps it on the island.
Exactly. Just got to keep plugging away.
There's Wolfish. Had big problems in the early parts of qualifying, but got it all sorted out to be 5th on the grid. And right at the front, Larini with a race of his own. It's Wolfish again, with the Honda Accord. Not the first of the amateurs, Gianluca De Lorenzi, Italian driver with the BMW E36. Wolfish is 5th at the moment. He'll want to improve on that. 4th place should be within his grasp. And meanwhile, Larini just continues at the front. Wolfish trying to hunt down the man just in front of him, which is Gianluca De Lorenzi. There is Tarquini, and the gap between Tarquini and Giovanardi just about. Eric Carroll in for a stop-go penalty.
Yeah. He doesn't seem to have increased it that much more, Tarquini. It's just maybe 1/10, 1.5 tenths a lap, it looks to me.
And of course, the gap will be known as he pitches his pit board each time to the leader, and he knows he's got a little bit in there to be able to just hold back. He'll be able to see if, and he'll be able to visually see on the long straights anyway, if Tarquini's getting anywhere nearer to him.
That's right, for sure, for sure. They'll be keeping, you know, the pit
Still
crew.
7 seconds, 5 laps gone, 7
yeah.
seconds. It's not, you wouldn't expect it to change very much between
No.
two cars who set an identical fastest lap time.
Exactly. It's just down to, you know, obviously who can keep the car running at that pace the longest, really, you know. I mean, you just got to keep up that speed, and all Tarquini can do is just keep up the pressure on, keep putting in the lap times, and hope that he can pressurise Larini into some kind of mistake.
This Remus curve at the top there, that it comes right round back on itself, looks to me to be a very critical corner, is it?
It's very tight. You know, it's very undulated, the circuit there as well. It's very steep uphill as you're braking in the corner, so you can brake very late in that corner, maybe just past the 100-meter board. It's very slow speed, minimum speed through the corner, but it's just critical that you get good traction and good drive out of the corner, so you can carry the speed then onto the next straight.
Talking about carrying speed, there's Tarquini trying to carry it, and he's taking with him Fabrizio Giovanardi, whose teammate, this man, Nicola Larini, is still in the lead, and with a lead of about 7 seconds, it's looking a very safe lead indeed. He's going to be coming up on some of the back markers shortly. The Honda Accord won the first race, but that was going very wide indeed, and that was Larini going very wide. I mean, he's gone wide and off and in trouble. Now, that, I think, had to be a back marker involved there.
Must have been, yeah. Maybe just lost some concentration, maybe gone the wrong side of a back marker, and it's forced him off onto the gravel.
And does that allow Tarquini to be through? Yes, it has.
I would imagine.
Tarquini is through. He's not lost second place, though, has he? Let's have a look there. If Larini has lost second place.
Tarquini suddenly got excited. He's got his lights on as well now.
But the two Alfa Romeos line astern behind him, are they not? Interesting stuff. Maybe we'll be able to find out more a little bit later on. But that's Larini now behind Tarquini, and Giovanardi in third place. So it all changed. I mean,
Unbelievable.
that fat lady must have been walking away from the piano.
That's unbelievable. I mean, Larini had that one sewn up, really. He didn't really need to take big gambles on back markers with 7-second lead.
Well, Tarquini must think it's all his Christmas is together.
For sure, yeah. Handed on the plate, I think.
Back to first and just over half race distance.
It's good for him. Good for him just to score a few more points in them, obviously, for the championship as well.
Now, what's Larini saying now as he sits in the cockpit?
I'd imagine he's pretty steamed up. May
But
see
he's
him.
Italian as well, isn't he? I wouldn't want to be the back marker. I wouldn't want to be the back marker. Oh, and that's a look at that again. And you see where he was going there. I'm trying to see that there is another car amongst that bunch, but it was way over to the other side of it.
I think that was actually an Audi which was off on the gravel at that particular corner.
And there is Tarquini, man in the lead. We're looking at that again. And that's well lost, isn't it? And that's not one of the Alphas, as you say. That looked like the Audi that had gone there.
That's right.
But this man very much on. He won the first race, started at the back in the second, and he's certainly best in the Alphas here, although it's fair to say if Nicola Larini hadn't gone off, he should really have won it. But we'll rejoin the action with Tarquini heading towards the flag in just a moment. With 7 of the 12 laps completed, it was Tarquini with the lead. Tarquini still has the lead ahead of the unfortunate Larini, who took the trip into the gravel trap. We think it was Mika Lampinen who went wide. It was either he or Sambataro, but there you have a gap of 2.7 now after 10 laps. Giovanardi 4.7 seconds behind that. Wallfish in 4th place, and there's Lampinen, I talked about a moment or two ago. He actually started right on the front row. Now some 34 seconds back is the Finn, but no question of being at the back for very long was there for Gabriele Tarquini. Started at the back, now right at the front. And there we have him. His teammate Fabrice Wallfish has also come through. He's in 4th place as I speak at the moment. Larini still has 2nd, but once that as we've gone into the last lap now, once he was past Tarquini, there was nothing that Larini could do about it, but there's only about 2.5 seconds gap, so clearly if Larini, Jamie Davis hadn't gone off, he would have won the race, no question.
Oh, no question, no. Just very surprised that, he made that kind of mistake. A guy with that experience should have really just kept the cool head, really, and no need to make any risks at all with a 7-second lead, and for sure he would have ended up winning the race, but it's not to be. Tarquini's got the lead. As long as he keeps now a cool head, then I don't see any reason why he's not going to win it.
Listening to the voice of Jamie Davis, a man with the experience of 4 Le Mans, some excellent racing in Formula 3. You won at Enna, didn't you?
Yeah, I won at Enna in Formula 3000, yeah.
And you have actually driven a Formula 1, I know you have.
Tested for McLaren a couple of times, yeah. The first time I tested was part of winning the McLaren Autosport Young Driver of the Year back in '94.
Tarquini heading now on the last lap for a double.
It's a good weekend for Tarquini for sure. He's going to be very, very happy with this one.
Go away with a bag full of 80 points, but because Giovanardi finishes 2nd and 3rd, there's not that big a drift in the points. We'll look at the points a little bit later, so Giovanardi must fancy himself for the title. Larini's chances of it with the back of the grid effectively finished, that put him in pole to start the 2nd race, and now 2nd in this one. Not the best of weekends.
Tarquini takes the flag.
For Nicola Larini, a great one for Tarquini. So Italians take 1st, 2nd and 3rd, and then a Frenchman, Fabrice Wallfish, puts the 2 Alfa Romeos in a sandwich, so a Honda Accord finish 1st and 4th, and the Alfa Romeos 1st and 2nd, and Gianluca De Lorenzi 1st amateur home with the BMW. Tarquini will be absolutely delighted. And in fairness, he's drove well.
Has drove well. Made no mistakes at all. Just kept the car in one piece, made no contact with anybody, kept it smooth, kept the cool head, and got the results.
Well, they've got after this the Nürburgring, they've got Harama, and I think it's Esteban. 3 rounds, 6 races, he still could be with it, with a chance.
Still could well be, yeah. Certainly with this situation as well, where they reverse the grids for the 2nd race, anything can happen.
You've got to also say that, okay, Larini may have made mistakes, but Giovanardi, I mean, that's been good racing for him. Good, they don't have to win every race to win a championship.
It's what wins championships, just consistently scoring the points, getting on the podium. That's for sure what takes the title.
And Eric Caroli of France there, stop-go penalty.
Just unfortunate there, really.
Yeah, still finishes in 6th place.
Not bad at all.
Lancelotti, worthy of perhaps more than his 11th place. We got more touring cars, European touring cars to come with the super production class very shortly. There's the man effectively on a lap of honour. Tarquini about to be congratulated and about to speak to you for watching Eurosport.
Gabriele, it looked as though you had a little bit of help there from Nicola, but even so, it must be the perfect weekend for you after Silverstone as well. That's another 2 wins out of 2.
Yeah, he showed a very good weekend. I was very lucky in the second race, especially because Larini started for the first row. I'm on the last. But I overtook Giovanardi because he did a little mistake, and for me Larini was uncatchable because the gap was more than 7 seconds. But fortunately for me, he made a little mistake. I don't know because I don't know the accident, but he was pushed out from an unlapped car.
So that's a good weekend for you. You caught up a lot of ground now in terms of the championship.
Yeah, I don't know how much point I gained to Giovanardi. It's sure that I'm catching Larini, Nicola. This gives me a lot of optimistic atmosphere because I know that the potential of the car is very high, so I hope to continue like this.
Thank you, Gabriele.
Well, they look and they admire what was a very good drive from Tarquini. Talk there maybe a little error from Larini as well, and then, you know, all Italians together, we don't blame him too much for it. You actually think that Larini got it wrong, don't you?
Well, I mean, even if it was a back marker involved, you know, when you have a 7-second lead, there's no reason to take any risks and have to pass him on that corner anyway. You know, he could have possibly sat behind and passed after the corner, and if it wasn't a back marker, then there's no reason to go off.
What he was wondering was Gabriele Tarquini about the championship points position. So if he's casting his eye on the Eurosport monitor at the A1 ring, of which there are many, in just a second or two, we'll be able to see how it's all affected. And remember, there is another 6 races to go in the 2 races per round. And the Honda people, no doubt, absolutely delighted. A double for Tarquini. I'm explaining it all now. Is Giovanardi absolutely no reason, you know, he's reasonably happy, good weekend for him?
Good weekend, yeah. Consistent point scoring. Hasn't really hurt him in the championship at all, so, you know, he's going to be looking forward to the next couple of races. If he can keep producing results like that, and there may be a possible win, you know, again, then he's looking good.
And there's our points table. Giovanardi obviously still at the top with 449. Larini with 418, but you see now Tarquini is starting to monster on Larini's lead.
Most definitely. Larini can't fall asleep, that's for sure. Tarquini's going to keep pushing. If they keep producing results like they had this weekend, then, you know, he's going to be there at the end of the year.
And people will be joining you, no doubt, September the 8th and 9th, because I know you're going to be at the next round to see what happens between Larini, Giovanardi and Tarquini. Excellent stuff from Tarquini. A good day at the office too for Giovanardi. Not so good for the guy who just went off there, Simonzik. Although he eventually finishes 4th of the amateurs. Good fight back from him. Still, GT, FIA GT to come. Before that, the super production race from the A1 ring. The commentary team, Jamie Davis, I'm Tony Delahunty. And that the incident that effectively cost Larini victory in the second race. That man got it, Tarquini. Well, there you are. Nice little detached property on the A1 ring. Not too far away from grass.
Not too bad to stay going testing.
You can have your own cow. He's a lazy cow, isn't he? Oh, that would be wrong. It can't be a he, can it? So, that's certainly interested our cameraman. Right in the Austrian countryside, a beautiful part of the world.
It's a great place to be, yeah. It's, you know, the circuit there, it's lovely scenery all around.
What do you reckon they are?
I don't know, but normally when I'm at the circuit, I tend to be looking up over there all the time to see what the weather's going to do, because normally the big clouds pop over that hill and it tends to rain quite a lot.
Not today.
Not today, no.
Very hot, very humid,
weather.
very dry. Some good free watching you can get if you can get up there. Probably take you about a year and a half to climb it.
Might need a good set of binoculars as well.
Anyhow, Tommy Rustad, it was who claimed pole position. You could say really at last for the Norwegian. Certainly a class act, 45.635, the time he set. And the former Formula 1 driver Gianni Morbidelli with the BMW will be alongside him. Before that we have the podium to come up. Tarquini being called up there. But first the others will take their place. And with Larini there, a little bit in the body language, isn't there?
Doesn't look very happy, does
Doesn't he? You know, yeah, okay, thanks very much, yeah, okay, fine. That's all right, I'll put that in the, where can I put that? I'll put that in the shed.
Can't blame him, really.
No, you can't.
You know, the win was his.
No such reaction from this fella. A nice double. Don't forget, still got the FIA touring cars coming up. Sorry, not the FIA, we've got the Super Touring cars coming up in a second. Well, there's the man in pole position. Let's give it its proper title, the FIA European Touring Championship in Super Production. Don't forget, we've got the FIA GT Championship to come a little later. And Tommy Rustad in pole position, the Norwegian, with a Nissan Primera Mark III, 145.635. Half a second faster than Gianni Morbidelli, the Italian, who drives a BMW 320. Another BMW on the second row, Peter Cox. Peter Cox we'll see later. That's Duncan Huisman, who's on row 3. Luis Villamil is on row 2. I think the championship there, Huisman leads them with 102 points. Then Cox in second place, some 22 points adrift. Tom Ferrier and James Hansen from Great Britain in 10th and 12th place with the Edenbridge team.
Tommy, your first pole position of the season, is it because your car is good on this circuit, or have you changed something with the Nissan?
Basically in the same car. We have developed the engine a bit more since Budapest, and we have been developed the car all the year, so we have been going forward step by step, and this circuit seems to suit us very well.
Okay, thank you, Tommy.
In pole position, number 3 there, Tommy Rustad. Seems very happy. Morbidelli, of course, was in Formula 1. Peter Cox will be in the FIA GT race, which we will see later on. Luis Villamil, Spanish driver in the Alfa Romeo, on the same row as he. The championship leader, Duncan Huisman, BMW. Massini, who we saw in British touring cars, British production touring as well. Norman Simon. Martin and Paolo Roberti, 2 BMWs on row 5. But about to get away. Red light to green light in just a second.
It's creeping a little bit out.
Yeah, he is. Tommy Rustad was moving before the start there. That could cost him dear.
Could well do, yeah.
Might get away with this also.
There's a possibility, but it looked to me that he was definitely creeping a little bit.
It was fairly obvious, wasn't it? But, well, for the moment at least, he makes a good start. What a pity if you get pole position. You make a good start anyway. And if he gets penalised, that would be a stop-go, wouldn't it?
Possibly, yeah. Certainly, whatever. It's not what he wants. He wants to just take the lead and obviously pull away. But if he's got to come into the pits at all, then that's going to ruin his afternoon.
Well, at the moment, he's out in the front. We were on board a moment with Duncan Huisman, the Dutch driver. There really is a battle just a little bit further back. Now we're with Peter Cox, the Dutchman with the BMW. Quite a battle for second place at the moment, which could allow Tommy Rustad to escape a little bit.
He's pulling out quite a big lead there, really, for the opening lap.
Well, the other ones, they're holding each other.
That's right.
Either each other up in the battle.
Nice clean track ahead of Rustad.
Well, we'll see what happens for he a little bit later on. 14, trying to climb his way up through the field there. Duncan Huisman, the championship leader. We've climbed aboard with him.
somebody off there.
That's one of the Alfa Romeos, isn't it? He's managed to get back onto the track.
Lots of nice dirty tyres now.
Yeah, for Tobias Messina. And the Italian, there's a classification of under 25s in this race as well. And he was looking to see if he could win that. I'm looking to see if Tom Ferrier is showing anywhere. Can't see him for the moment.
Peter Cox making a move at the inside just then.
Yeah, are they managing to get a little bit nearer to Tommy Rustad, or is Rustad still extending the elastic of that lead? Well, those three are in an absolute battle royal, and with Peter Cox behind the two of them, we can have an eye on that door firmly shut. A BMW door shut firmly in his face. And that hammer and tongues, no quarter being given, and the battle of three will now become a battle of four. Rustad still out in the front. He hasn't got the worries of this.
Biggest problem with these three now is they're just holding each other up, and it's just allowing Rustad to edge out that lead, just pulling away.
On board with Huisman again.
It's going to be a big move, or a big lock up there.
That was Norman Simon involved with that as well. Gosh, really, a bit of modification of bodywork and goodness knows what else happening here. Norman Simon, you know him?
He's been in Formula 3000 in the past, so yeah, I've came across him.
He's in the under-25 championship as well, the German driver with a BMW.
Oh,
but
another
there's
big
serious problems
here. Yeah, he's
here.
got a puncher on the front right.
That will be the end of it for Peter Cox. But he's got a race in the FIA GT. We'll see that later, and it's the end for Duncan Huisman as well.
Yeah,
Championship leader in the gravel.
Unbelievable. I think that incident actually came on the Castrol Curve turn 1, just after the pit straight when they all came together. And it's damaged the front right of Peter Cox's car.
Huisman out, Cox out, Tommy Rustad out and away from all of them. Well, an easy race it is for him, and that's a rerun from Peter Cox as the field goes past him.
Just see how slow you have to go once that tyre's deflated. There's just no grip at all on the front.
35, end of the race for him. That's Marcus Paltala with the Honda Integra. An engine problem took him out of it. Still at the front. We'll take another look there at the number 1 car of Peter Cox. BMW. Clearly not going to be good points today for Peter Cox. We're hoping to do far better in the FIA GT a little bit later on. Rustad, a gap of 5.7 seconds from Morbidelli, from Simon. Villamil is still up there in 4th place. Hansen is up into 9th place.
It's not bad at the moment there. It just needs to keep pushing. Fairly close to 7th position there, so pretty good little race they're having.
Well, Cox should be able to go out again when they've got the tyre on. But no doubt about the man with the commanding lead at the moment. That's Tommy Rustad with Innocent Primera. We'll rejoin him on this race in just a moment. Well, that's Tommy Rustad, and I think we've seen a signal that we talked about a possible stop-go penalty, and he's gone into the pit. He's got that stop-go penalty. Looked like that he'd set the signal out the lap before. Well, that's the leader out of the race. We've seen 2 of the cars now. That's one. Rustad out, effectively. We've seen Peter Cox out. We've seen Duncan Huisman out. I think Tobias Messina has gone as well. Well, it really is becoming a race of attrition here.
That's unbelievable. Rustad there, he may have had a little problem, maybe a clutch problem or something like that, which caused the car to creep when he was on the start line, but that's effectively ruined his weekend now. It's put him back in the field. He's going to have to work really hard now to try and put it back at the front again.
Going to be very difficult indeed. This is Norman Simon, though, who will have benefited from that. He's moved into 1st place. I mean, he qualified 7th. He's in the under-25 grouping as well. So the German driver, will be Norman Simon, will be the correct pronunciation, now has the lead, and Gino Morbidelli will have 2nd place. He started on the front row. He now has 2nd place. Norman Simon has the lead, and out has gone Peter Cox, out has gone Duncan Huisman with the BMW, out has gone Tommy Rustad with a commanding lead, He definitely, though, jumped the start, no question.
No question. He's just creeping there. You could just see it quite plainly on the start there. It's just moving slightly forwards, and that's just enough. You know, it gives him that little bit of momentum, gives him an advantage actually on the lights. So, you know, it's the stop-go penalty. I think was the right way to go.
Gianni Morbidelli.
Morbidelli now needs to just really push fairly hard, try and put some pressure on Norman Simon, and just see if he can put him into a mistake. And on the same terms, if Simon Norman keeps his head together. Norman Simon.
Norman Simon. Okay, whatever. Yeah.
If he keeps his head together,
as long as he wins, he doesn't care what you call him.
He just needs to keep it smooth now, and he's got enough gap there really. There's no pressure on him at the moment, so just keeps that gap, and he's going to be looking good there for the end.
Norman Simon from Gianni Morbidelli. Now, Tommy Rustad, despite that penalty, he should be able to make up a few places. There's a little bit to go, and he was, you know, he was very, very quick indeed.
Well, yeah, you know, he qualified the car on pole position. He's got the speed in hand, so he's going to be back out in the midfield again. But as we saw from the other cars with Tarquini, you know, if he can come through the field, you can pass on this circuit, so there is still a chance that he can get some points.
Well, we've lost James Hansen on lap 4, and his teammate Tom Ferrier on the first lap. Cavici's gone, Barkey's gone, Villamil has gone. Villamil was up amongst the quicker times. So really has been a race of attrition one way or the other. But nearly half the field is no longer running. And one or two that are running have got a few bits hanging off.
You might need to be careful there with that bodywork just flaming. It's possible that they may call him in for that. Just have to watch that one.
And there is Rustad. And we asked you when we were talking about the Super Touring Championship race what Nicola Larini's thoughts would be. I imagine somewhat matched by Tommy Rustad's at the moment.
Quite possibly, yeah. He's definitely not going to be very happy. Depends if it was his mistake or whether there was a slight problem with the car, but you know, he's going to want to just push as hard as he can now and try and make the most out of this weekend.
What sort of problems could you have in making you creep across the line?
Well, it's possible if there's a clutch problem with the car, which is just you know, so that the clutch is biting a little bit, then it's difficult for him to obviously to hold the car still. So you know, that could be the cause for it, or it could be that he's just on the biting point of the clutch too much and the car did edge forward slightly.
Listening to Jamie Davis, the experienced racing voice of Jamie, who would much rather be in a car than here. And you're looking there at the number 2. Norman Seaman, the German driver, qualified only 7th fastest, but he's right at the front. 3 seconds ahead of Morbidelli. And there doesn't seem too much that Gianni Morbidelli in a similar car can do about this.
Looks like Norman Simon, you know, the car's working well beneath him. Obviously, he qualified 7th in the qualifying position, but, you know, they've had time to work on the cars now. They may have improved it slightly, and Morbidelli certainly looks like he's got his work cut out.
Tommy Rustad up into 5th place with a Nissan Primera.
That's doing good, yeah.
He's on a charge. Red mist?
Most certainly.
Red mist?
More than likely, yeah. He's going to be pushing hard.
And Norman Seaman doesn't need anything like that. He's just got to keep it together, keep it nice and smooth, and try and take the BMW 320i, the E46, right through to the end of this race and win it. Morbidelli, in fact, got classification coming up after 12 laps of the 16, 4 still to go. Actually, Seaman opened the gap by 7/10 of a second on that lap. So
yeah,
he's got it in hand. He's got it hanging off. And that Simon De Luca with the other Nissan Primera. Yeah, he would be lucky to not get a black flag there, because they'll be worried about that coming off and slamming into somebody else.
Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, normally they've designed those bumpers so that, you know, if there is any problem like that, then they do just tend to fall off on their own. So once they're off the car, they're out of the way, then there's no problem.
That was Benaldi in the pits. Vittorio Benaldi, I think he will go out again. Stefano Gabellini even. Currently the man in 3rd place. Tommy Rustad, I'm looking at his progress, might get in a position to actually get to the rostrum. Obviously, the Nissan Primera working very well. The only thing it did was it was too quick to get off the grid.
Exactly, yeah.
It got off the grid too quick.
He's got the pace there, so, you know, that's going to make him feel even more. Oh, we got somebody here, half spin. Lucky to save that one there.
Still the leader, though. Norman Seaman with the BMW. And yes, chasing very, very hard, trying to undo some of the damage. Tommy Rustad, Norwegian, working very, very hard indeed to get after Gianni Morbidelli. Rustad currently in 5th place. His next target will be Jean-Michel Martin, Belgian driver, BMW mounted as well. But no problems at all, either in the under-25 grouping or in the overall lead for Norman Seaman.
One good thing about this circuit is you can overtake. If the car in front decides that they're going to block going into one of the corners, you can always go wide and try and get a run on them through the corner, and then normally you can pass them going down to the next. So, you know, there's always that situation where you're able to make a move on somebody, which, you know, makes for great racing, and it also helps Rustad, you know, progress through the grid.
Seaman absolutely keeping it all together there. Nice check on the gap between first and second to Morbidelli. With 3.7 seconds. The race over 16 laps, not that far to go now, and not that much of a change in the times between the two. If anything, Morbidelli dropping a little bit further back.
This part of the circuit is really, really good. It just, as you go through that quick right-hander, it just drops away as you go through the corner. Tendency to have a lot of oversteer with the car through there. And then the last corner onto the pit straight, you can carry a lot of speed through that corner. It always gives you the feeling that you can just go faster and faster and faster every lap through there. And the more you push it, the car just seems to go through there and it grips. And it's quite challenging.
Challenge for Norman Seaman just to keep it there, as we see a little bit of an off-course excursion. But I think that just ahead of that was Tommy Rustad with 2 laps to go. Seaman just be checking everything's working just right. Fingers and toes crossed. You can't believe, I mean, he won't believe that he could have won this race.
He's certainly going to be happy at the end of it, that's for sure. Just needs to keep it going now.
And there's a change. That's Jean-Michel Martin with one BMW being overtaken there by the Nissan Primera of Tommy Rustad. So Rustad has moved up into 4th place. But can he get that one more place to get him onto a podium, where at one stage it looked like he would almost certainly sit on the top if it hadn't been the sneaking away at the beginning. So Tommy Rustad showing 4th, and he's closing down.
He is closing.
That's Stefano Gavellini, and he's closing him down. No doubt that this was the speed act.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, the gap looked fairly big, but Rustad's car is working well. He's got the speed
He set
there.
the fastest lap on the last lap. Norman Seaman, incidentally, set his fastest lap on lap 6, which was some 0.3 slower than Tommy Rustad. So Tommy Rustad with the fastest lap of the race. But can he reach the pole position? Can this man win it? Looks almost certain that he can. But there's been a few turn-ups in this race so far. Maybe the drama of it all hasn't finished just yet. Norman Seaman. He just got a lap ahead of him now. Morbidelli in 2nd place. Gabellini still with 3rd place. But Rustad is going to be very, very close to him. The Norwegian, the pole sitter. Will he stand on the podium? Last lap for Norman Seaman. Number of under-25 drivers started this race. Only 2 of them are still running. The other is Simone De Luca with the second of the Nissan Primeras. Morbidelli a steady 2nd place. There is Norman Seaman. Got nobody in front of him, no back markers to worry about. Just the circuit, just getting countdown of the corners almost now.
Yeah, no risk, just bring it home.
Just try and get it all right. There's a little bit of side damage on the far side of the car. That won't bother him either.
Just looks like an indicator or something
Yeah.
falling out.
Steady drive from Norman Seaman from the 4th row of the grid. It's not going to cost an awful lot to repair, is it?
I don't think that's going to be many dramas for him, no. I don't think it's going to stop him winning the
Now
race.
look here, this is Rustad. Rustad monster, literally on Stefano Gabellini, tucking himself right in at the back. I don't think there'll be anything Gabellini can do about it. Gabellini trying to make himself wide.
He's going to get a better exit.
He's going to get a much better exit, isn't he?
He may be able to cut across and get him on the inside on the exit. No, he's going for the outside line. Oh, he's touched. He's got there.
He got there, and he was getting there. There was no question of anything other than that. Norman Seaman had also got to the flag. These two have a little bit of a battle at the end, but Rustad, I think the declaration, the focus, the intent from Rustad was there.
I think he had the red mist.
Oh, the red mist was well in. It'd be dreadful if he got another penalty for that, wouldn't it? Oh dear.
That's good to see that he salvaged something out of it, you know. It's not obviously what you want, having the stop-go penalty, so in that situation, you couldn't have asked for more.
And the door comes open on Norman Seaman's car because he wants it open, because I imagine it's pretty warm in there at the moment.
Yeah, it gets incredibly hot in these cars, especially in these conditions, you know. The heat build-up is very intense.
You had a win out of nothing, a big win out of nothing ever? Or a really good result when you'd started 7th or 8th back like that?
Yeah, I mean, sure, you know, those situations happen, and you know, when that happens, you just take it and use it to full effect, really.
He's going to be absolutely over the moon.
Most definitely, yeah.
One man who won't be will be Duncan Huysman, who is the championship leader. He went off in that frantic early battling. So too did Peter Cox. Don't forget, we've got FIA GT still to come. Good, steady drive from Norman Seaman. Okay, taking advantage of others' problems. But that's what it's all about. Was he about to go into 3,000 at one stage, this guy?
I think possibly, yeah. I know I've seen his name in a few tests. I'm not sure whether he actually competed in any of the races at all. But
age doesn't matter. Told you about this, Davis. Jean-Michel Martin, famous Belgium driver, 58 years of age, 5th place.
Not
you
bad.
Can't keep an old good one down. We're going to hear now from the winner, who will no doubt be delighted, if not a bit surprised.
Norman, first win of the season in what was a very eventful race. It looked like a fantastic battle to be involved in at the start. Can you tell us about that, and also the move that you made to overtake Morbidelli, which proved to be critical in the end?
Yeah, actually, after the qualifying, I didn't expect it, because I made a mistake and I was quite bad in qualifying, only 7th, and I didn't expect really to win today. For sure, I was lucky that some guys had enough, or Tommy had a stop and go, which is very sad, because actually he should have won the race. But I'm really happy about that, and I mean, with Gianni, he was well blocking, but then I think he soon realized that he has no chance, and he just let me by. And I don't know, I wasn't really pushing, but the car was so good today. I mean, a really big thank you to the team. They just did such a very good job today.
Thank you, Norman.
Well, nice for him to win. And look at the sheer delight there from inside the team. No doubt very emotional indeed. Perhaps made even better by the surprise to the team as well.
Ah, yeah, it's a big boost, obviously, to the team as well as to Norman, and you know, it's going to help him in the championship.
Huysman, though, still, despite not finishing that race, at the top with 102 points. Cox, of course, didn't challenge either because he didn't finish. But Norman Seaman moves up into 3rd place. He'll be really delighted. Tom Ferrier showing on that board in 11th place despite non-scoring. And only getting as far as the first lap. We've got lots more to come.
The FIA GT Championship in Eurosport's Super Racing Weekend. With Lease Plan, Fleet Management in Motion. Filatice, stretching fibers, fabrics and yarns.
Yokohama, power of performance.
Welcome back to the A1 ring. If you've just joined us, wherever you've been, you're certainly with us now for the FIA GT race. Jamie Davis, my co-commentator. And the grid full of the GT cars. And the poleman, of course, Rickard Rydell with the Ferrari. Pole position for that car, run of course by ProDrive. And there the standings in the championship. Bouchou and Belloc have effectively already won it. You've just got to turn up and race, because if you don't race apparently, then that championship will not be theirs, but they have sufficient points to be certain of it. Labre competition, not yet clinched the team championship. Almost. Mr. Storm, of course, down a little bit this year, in 4th place there with only 28 points. Two classes, GT and NGT. We'll be hearing very shortly from Ricard Rydell, who in the Superpole competition, it was the top 6 in GT and top NGT, effectively shooting out 1 lap only, an out lap, a fastest lap, and or a fast lap, and then an in lap. And there is the Ferrari 550 Maranello. And the Swede Rydell won 30.856 in practice. Pole the car, 19-year-old Johan Bleekemolen with the Chrysler Viper Car Sport Holland car, starts alongside him.
It's very hot today, and also you're driving with Peter, who's going to have a very busy day driving in the SPC as well. Will that affect your strategy, or will you try and go for the usual 2 stops?
Well, now we're going to go as hard as we can, really. Of course, we have to look after the car a little bit. It's a 3-hour race, but we'll see how it goes.
And do you think the heat, there'll be any problems with the tyres?
No, it should be okay. We've been working okay in testing, so we hope it's going to be okay.
Thank you, Ricard.
Rydell then, with Bleekemolen alongside him. The grid full of Bleekemolens, of course, the family Bleekemolen. On the second row of the grid, you can see Julian Bailey's Lister Storm. But that is Johan Bleekemolen's car, 1:31.007. He was fastest in actual qualifying before the Superpole shootout.
See there all of the tubing inside of the car, and also the heat shield over the windscreen. It just gets incredibly hot on these cars, and they do anything they can basically to keep the heat out as long as possible.
In the last pre-practice session before qualifying, the Lister Storms were quickest and second quickest. Julian Bailey, former Tyrrell Grand Prix driver of one time. See on the side of his crash helmet there, the side Cavendish, that they were sponsors when he was in Tyrrell, and he's carried them with him for many years. You know, Paul Carnill and his family from Nottingham. Cavendish, big Julian Bailey fans. Nice to see somebody with a sponsor they keep with some longevity.
Most definitely, yeah.
As it was in Budapest. Do you have any special tactics to cope with the heat?
You know, Thierry make a good qualification, and he take the start. He drive 1:20. He's fit for success for that. And after that, I drive nearly 1:40. We have a lot of problems this weekend on the qualification with the gearbox and with the brakes. Now everything looks okay. I think we can make a good race.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael Newgarden, who will co-drive with a manual start. Thierry Perrier. So, Rydell. He will start. Bleekemolen starts, Bailey starts, Christophe Bouchou, who's already won the championship. He will start, Jamie Campbell-Walter will start. Bleekemolen, Sebastian will start, and Hanson Michael later. The NGT cars, Luca Riccatelli, 14 points in the lead of the NGT Championship. Fastest man there on the 4th row of the grid. Dick Peter alongside him, Jürgen von Gartzen on row 5. Tim Sugden, Bradford man, loads of experience and loads of pace on the next row. And Otelli and Dumez, who have problems in scrutineering after practice, they start of their times not having been allowed on row 6. Porsche 996 GT3Rs dominating the NGT shootout. So away they go. Wind round this circuit, ready for the start of the FIA 2001 GT Championship race. And will the Ferrari, only the second time out for the Ferrari,
It's you know, I mean, it's great to see them on pole already. You know, they've obviously done a lot of testing with the car. It's working well around the circuit, and you know, if Ricard can hold on to that, then they're going to be well pleased.
Looking at the drivers that are starting, I mean, one interesting one. I know I was saying that Porsches dominate the NGT class. Of course, there's been complaining all weekend. There's David Terrien about the pace of his Ferrari 360 Modern. He didn't even make the shootout. He didn't even make the Super Pole competition. So that will be interesting to see how David Terrien fares with the JMB competition Ferrari 360 Modena in NGT. Julian Bailey, row 2. Bichou and Belloc, champions elect, row 3. Now, good pairing there, Campbell Walter, Tom Coronel.
Yeah, I'm not, don't know Campbell Walter too much, but Tom Coronel's a good friend. You know, both quick drivers. They should be, you know, looking for a good race this weekend.
Steve O'Rourke on row 5, showing that Porsche with Tim Sugden. Nia Amelin with Stefano Telli. A bit further back, Marc Duez coming into the competition with Manuel Raspetti. Boris Driesberg, nice to see him involved in the competition on row 8. And there's father and son involved in one of the teams here. And that is Horst Felbermeier, both senior and junior, sharing the Proton competition car, the Porsche 911 GT, with Christian Ried, Austrian father and son. David Terrien, there you are. See row 13, way back, with the Ferrari and NGT. Russian team in Freijaja Motorsport colours in the Porsche. Grid extending a long way back. This is round 8.
See them frantically trying to warm up the tyres and keep the heat and the temperature into the brakes. It's a big problem when they come to the first corner if they hit the brake pedal and there's no brakes there, so they've got to keep accelerating and keep the left foot pumping on the brake pedal just to try and generate the heat into the discs.
Well, the Ferrari out of our vision at the moment. Young Bleekemolen, here on Bleekemolen, sharing that car with another with an awful lot of experience, Mike Hazeman, won here last year, but now in a Chrysler Viper. There's the car of Bichou. The Paul Belmondo cars, 11 and 12.
Very slow rolling that.
Now the pole car is supposed to control the pace as they come round onto the, well, they're onto the start-finish straight. There's a third lister out, but more on that with Jean-Pierre Jarier down a little bump as if to say, you know, let's sort this out almost before the start. But that Ferrari is away very, very quickly. And Ricard Rydell with the lead into the first corner. And in fact, the first two got a good move there. It's Campbell Walter is back in, what, 6th place at the moment. Julian Bailey in 3rd position. As they all go safely through the first corner. We're on board with Jeroen Bleekemolen, the Dutch driver with the Chrysler Viper, but he's a Dutch driver who's looking ahead to the Ferrari, the Banbury-based Peugeot Ferrari, who are looking for their first victory. Ricard Rydell will share it with the Dutchman Peter Cox, the car that is, and Bleekemolen, who was fastest in qualifying before the Super Pole competition, is in 2nd place. Julian Bailey in 3rd. The other Lister Storm just moving up into 5th place there. So Jamie Campbell Walter on the march already. And that is Sebastian Bleekemolen, who has started the race in the other Team Carsport Honda car, the other Chrysler Viper. But straight to the front then went the man in pole position, Ricard Rydell. And that Ferrari seems quite a machine.
It's working well, yeah. Ricard's obviously pushing very hard. The car's doing exactly what he wants it to do, and if he can just keep edging out that gap, then you know, he's going to be looking good for the first pit stops.
That, of course, is going to be very much a customer car. Dave Richards was saying at the last round, there's somebody out there that wants to get Jamie Davis into a car rather than in our studio. You can buy one of those and stick it. Would you like to be in that one?
Most definitely, yeah.
Nothing like driving a Ferrari, maybe.
Exactly.
The very word conjures up the imagination. But the Chrysler Vipers will have their say undoubtedly too. Julian Bailey still with third spot. So it's Ferrari at the moment, leading from Chrysler Viper, from Lister Storm, from Chrysler Viper, from Lister Storm, from Chrysler Viper.
They're all in there, aren't they?
Yeah, Sebastian Bleekemolen in 6th place at the moment, but it's the young 19-year-old Bleekemolen who shared this car with Mike Hazemans. 3 Bleekemolens out there. This one, a very quick young one. And Julian Bailey is a little bit nearer to him on that lap. And Bouchou, who is only 6th fastest in qualifying before the Super Pole and then moved up a bit to 4th, he's going to be under pressure very shortly from Jamie Campbell-Walter, I think.
That's right, that's right. He's obviously got to be careful. He just needs to keep scoring points. He's obviously taken the championship already, but just needs to be out there and just keep the car safe, really, and just keep it moving forward.
Apparently, according to some of the rules, he just needs to make sure he doesn't catch flu or anything.
Right, yeah, that's
misses
right.
one of the rounds.
That's
Pity
right.
after doing so much hard work to clinch a championship after round 7. Now, it looks to me...
Definitely closing a bit.
Yeah, Bailey is getting closer all the time to Jan Bleekemolen. But while Bleekemolen has to defend the situation, allows free road for the Ferrari, who can concentrate on just driving the circuit.
Yeah, I mean, again, as we've said before, you know, those two...
Campbell-Walter down the inside, looking for the door, firmly shut in his face.
Yeah, he wasn't really there. The move wasn't on at that point. You know, it may have been sussing out the situation for later on, but the problem with that is if you show your hand, then the guy in front obviously knows where to block in the future. So, you know, you want to do a surprise attack if you're going to get them there.
Sebastian Bleekemolen almost benefiting from that as well, because he was able to put in an immediate challenge on Jamie Campbell-Walter, who's now got to claw his way away from him and back up to Bouchou. The French driver at the moment.
Big lock-up there.
Yeah, big lock-up with a number 7 car. But, well, Julian Bailey is now all over young Bleekemolen. And Bailey wants through. The lights are on. He's in there. The lights are on the car of Jamie Campbell-Walter as well. So the 2 Lister Storms away from the lead at the moment, but both clearly wanting to move up the field. If anything, Bleekemolen held out a little bit on that lap. But Campbell-Walter could be in a position to challenge Sebastian Bleekemolen very shortly. Sebastian, who will share the car with Michael Bleekemolen. Well, we've got a long race ahead. How many laps do you think they'll be before they make the change?
Oh, I imagine they're going to be getting maybe around lap 40 or something like that before, depends on what mileage they're getting on the fuel, what the situation of the tyres are, but I'd imagine 40 laps or so into the race they're going to be looking at the first pit stops.
There's just half a second between the 2nd and 3rd place man, Viper of Jan Bleekemolen and Julian Bailey, but there's a much bigger gap than that from Bleekemolen to the Ferrari, who has the lead. Rickard Rydell, a man with an awful lot of experience, a car that's being developed. 1:31.080, fastest lap there. We're aboard with Rydell. And those of us who haven't got the luxury of being racing drivers like Jamie Davis, or having the money to buy a car like this, can at least enjoy the ride. I'm sure Rickard Rydell is enjoying it at the moment. Back into the pits, that's the GT2 car, the 911 GT2 car. It's Marco Spinelli. Although Marco Spinelli will be the 2nd driver of that. It was Gabriele Sabatini who went in there. We'll see what happens with that car just a little bit later on, but that's the first one to make a visit into the pits. Certainly not a scheduled one. We're back aboard the Ferrari. Another unscheduled pit stop there. And that is for one of the Russians, Alex Vasiliev, in the Flyginger Racing Porsche 993 GT3. In a way, with so many Porsche 993s, you know, great cars, I know they are, and great to see them racing, and they're racing in Britain as well. in the Porsche Cup. But it's nice to see other marques coming out like the Ferrari in the category as well.
That's right, it keeps Porsche on their toes.
And
for
David
sure, you know.
Tallien will be hoping that he can make it work. Jamie Campbell-Walter has made it work. He's moved up to 4th place, got past Brachou. Saying he didn't know an awful lot about Jamie Campbell-Walter, as we were saying yesterday, came to fame really after single-seaters in TBRs, which he, you know, just drives like he was born in the TBR.
Yeah.
With started with Colin Blow Motorsport, or didn't start actually with Colin Blow Motorsport. It's when he went to Colin Blow Motorsport, it's really started to get quicker and quicker.
I can remember Jamie Campbell-Walter from back in karting, and I used to race against him then, but he chose a different route. Didn't go out through the single-seaters, gone to more the saloon car way, and now he's, you know, obviously in this championship racing this year.
But last year, of course, won it.
That's right.
So this year it hasn't gone as well for the Lister Storm team. Luca Riccatelli, who leads the championship in NGT, leads from Philip Peter and Von Gartzen, all again in Porsches. So David Tallien somewhere further back with the Ferrari, and he's got a lot to do if he's going to get up anywhere near the NGT podium. Sebastian Bleekemolen looking to get past Brachou. Brachou firmly slams the door on him there.
A bit of curb was had to be used then, basically, to avoid the contact.
And you can see now Lister Storm from Lister Storm as that battle continues there for 5th place.
Definitely trying.
And again, that door is firmly shut. It's my road, you're not having it yet, but he's going to get through on the exit. Yeah, good move there from Sebastian Bleekemolen. And still, I can tell you out of your picture at the moment through our monitor, it's the Ferrari. The ProDrive Ferrari, the ProDrive All-Star Ferrari had Alain Menu in the last round. It's got Ricard Rydell in at the moment. It will have Peter Cox in later, and it has at the moment the lead.
It'd be also interesting to know what the fuel mileage is like on the Ferrari compared to the competitors, although with these more sprint races it's not quite so as important as an endurance race, but you know, it's still there.
And Tim Sugden very much up amongst the NGT leaders. There's Peter Cox waiting for his stint in the Ferrari.
Peter Cox obviously going to be hoping that he has a better run than he did in the Super Tours earlier.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly awe-inspiring for him, was it? Cox, who lies second in that Super Touring Championship, or Super Production Touring Championship, we should say. Rydell now with a 1.4 second gap from him and Jeroen Bleekemolen. Then Julian Bailey, about half a second separating the two of them there, and we'll rejoin the FIA GT battle and the Ferrari versus the Lister Storm versus the Chrysler Viper and the rest in just a few seconds. But 36 minutes of the race gone, and you're looking there at the two Chrysler Vipers, both with Bleekemolens in them. And it's the Bleekemolen the younger who leads that little battle for 4th place at the moment. But after 23 laps, Bailey has gone through into 2nd place. Campbell-Walter through into 3rd place, but still the Ferrari right at the top of the leaderboard. That's Sebastian Bleekemolen. And there the battle amongst the NGT cars. Still led in NGT, by the way, by the man who has been leading throughout, the championship leader, Luca Riccatelli. Whereas Dieter Cuesta waiting when they make the handover. 52, Tim Sugden with the EMK racing car that is shared. There is the leader of NGT, just briefly, in the Red Bull car. Luca Riccatelli, the Italian driver. Pole man in NGT in the Super Pole shootout. Fastest also in the ordinary qualifying before that. Just engaging now in a bit of lappery. Clearly the class of the field in NGT. And that machine really working quite beautifully. No problems for Riccatelli at all. my co-commentator today, Jamie Davis. And that is clearly a car that, barring the rarest of accidents, could well be on the way to a championship. Not only a win in this race, but also a win in the major championship. There's one of the Ferrari 360 Modenas, or Modenas. And it's the other one that David Tellien is in. Paul Belmondo, just going through before. Two Paul Belmondo racing cars. And out goes the 63 Ferrari. Andrea Gabagnaty. I don't know whether they actually made the driver change there. There's the Storm. Second and third position at the moment. Still the Ferrari of Rydell, who will be, when he pits, possibly at this, not too long away from now. Be letting Peter Cox into the car. Good combination, Rydell and the experienced Cox as well.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. He's got two experienced guys in there. They obviously know how to win races. They know what the situation is, and they're both going to be teaming up well, pushing hard. And, you know, they're going to be looking at a win this weekend.
I was talking about Riccatelli before. I mean, that Red Bull car has got a 14-point lead in the championship, got a good lead here, was the fastest in the Super Pole competition. Driver and car, obviously, car well set up, and driver a great combination. Yeah,
great combination. Obviously, the team have obviously done a great job with the setup on the car. They've done a good preparation. You know, and then with a driver as well who can consistently score the points and keep the car on the road, then you know, you're looking at a good situation for the championship.
Running overall 11, leader of the NGT category, and there is Julian Bailey. So Bailey and Campbell Walter in second and third place. 57, who we saw briefly there, Stefano Telli. Back with Julian Bailey. And the Ferrari now having to wing its way with a considerable amount of lappery. And Bailey has gone through into the lead, so what happened there during the lappery is that it concertinaed up, and suddenly the Ferrari is no longer in the lead. Julian Bailey is, and you know, it's interesting in any form of this long distance racing where you've got different classes. Once they've got to start weaving their way through, skill certainly comes into it very much, which no doubt both Bailey and Rydell have, but also luck comes into it, doesn't it?
It does a little bit, yeah. Especially with these they're more, you know, 3 hours of sprint racing really. It's just you have to be very committed when you're catching up the back markers. You know, sometimes it's a little bit of a gamble, but ultimately, you know, you have to finish the race, but you can't afford to lose that much time.
I fancy the combination here of Campbell Walter. Now, Bailey, when the takeover from Bailey and Nicholas Springer, the German driver, is certainly not as quick. Whereas I think that you might find Campbell Walter, and sharing that car as he is with another pretty darn good driver, I think we might see Campbell Walter, although he's about 5 seconds adrift of the leader at the moment, we may see that Lister Storm really challenging later on.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that I think it's Tom Coronel is Campbell Walter's teammate, and you know,
who's been a winner at this circuit.
That's right, yeah. I mean, you know, Tom's been around a while now. He's an experienced driver, knows obviously how to get the best out of these type of cars, and you know, they're looking at a good situation, obviously, for the rest of this race.
But at the moment, it's Julian Bailey who's gone into the lead. Remember the time when Bailey was in 3000, then with Tyrrell, that perhaps wasn't at that time the most competitive of Formula One teams to be in. Big mate of his was Perry McCarthy, of course, who had a brief flirtation with Formula One. Still Julian Bailey, who later will hand over to Nicholas Springer. Goes past Barbini there. Fabio Barbini in the Art Engineering Porsche 993R. very, very important to keep your concentration. It's Bailey, Rydell, Campbell, Walter.
I don't think Rydell will be too worried at the moment, you know. I mean, he's still right there. Anything can happen. They can catch up another back marker, and the position can they can swap again. So, you know, it's just about how they catch the back markers at which place on the circuit, really. You know, if you catch it as you're going into a corner, then you're going to lose time. But you catch them on the straight, and obviously it makes life a lot easier.
There's Bouchou, the man leading the championship. It's the other Red Bull car of Fabio Mancini. The 76 car there, while at the same time I can tell you that Luca Riccatelli continues to lead in the other Red Bull car. Bouchou will hand over to Jean-Philippe Belloc a little bit later. Bouchou, a man with, I think, 3 24-hour race wins.
It's not bad, is it?
Not bad at all. And with this championship already under his belt. So Campbell, Walter and Julian Bailey. Campbell, Walter from 3rd place and Bailey from 1st place. The Ferrari, the ProDrive All-Star Ferrari, Ricard Rydell driving it in 2nd. And they're waiting for the pit stops now, coming up on lap 38. So you said somewhere between just before lap 40?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like they're quite ready yet.
And Julian Bailey will hand over to Niklaus Springer, German driver, getting quicker. A German driver getting quicker, but it is very much this particular formula a question of the gentleman driver and the professional driver.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, you in this type of racing, as in any racing, you know, you got to be quick. There's, you know, these cars are. I mean, they're obviously similar to what I raced at Le Mans, being with the Panos team. You've got to push very hard to get the best out of the car. It's just commitment, really. You just got to push hard and basically, you know, give the car all it's got, really.
Just 0.6 of a second now. Rydell has benefited either in traffic or Rydell, as you said before, is just taking it easy, keeping his powder dry, and we'll find out more about that Ferrari challenge right after these. Will you join me ring at 36 laps, 55 minutes, as you see in the top of the screen there, with Julian Bailey still with the lead. The Ferrari in 2nd place of Ricard Rydell. Pit stops very shortly, I'm sure, to be made. Yes, they're waiting in the Ferrari pit there.
Ferrari team already, yeah.
Now, these aren't like Formula 1 pit stops at all. I mean, there is a limited amount of personnel able to be used. They've got to put the fuel in first. They can't touch the tyres until they put the fuel in. Pit stops regularly about a minute, unless something goes wrong, and they could be longer. Very little of a gap between Bailey and Ricard Rydell. Lister Storm from Ferrari. Jamie Campbell-Walter just a bit behind the Ferrari, as well as the Ferrari comes into the pits. And I think they'll make the driver change as well. Peter Cox, who, as we were saying before, will be hoping for a much better race than his super production race, where it all ended very early for him. He'll take over from Ricard Rydell.
Obviously, these pit stops are not as fast as Formula 1, but just as critical, you know.
Did we? Yeah, I think we saw the Lister Storm go in as well at the same time.
Quite possibly.
So Bailey into the pits at the same time.
Interesting to see which one comes out first.
And Campbell-Walter, I can tell you that I think Campbell-Walter, we're getting news from the pit road down there, I think he's headed in as also.
Yeah.
So the Lister Storm's in. The Ferrari's in. That's Bailey. And now it'll be the turn of Niklaus Springer to drive. Peter Cox to drive the Ferrari. Change the front wheel now. About a minute is the time usually in the pit road for this. The Vipers are in. That's the young one getting out. Jurgen Bleekemolen, 19-year-old, he's out. And a pretty quick guy getting in as well, Mike Hasemans. And there, well, no, that isn't the lead, that is the other Red Bull car coming in for the change. That's Mancini. All happening at the same time. The Ferrari is out. The Ferrari is back in the lead.
It is, yeah.
The Ferrari is back with what looks like a considerable lead.
It does, yeah. I mean, much
there's
faster
Bailey
pit
coming
stop.
out now, and he's still got to come out. He's now out of the pit, but that's the car of Bailey. We should say it's Nicholas Stringer coming out. But Springer's got a lot to do because this Ferrari's going to go quick. I'm certain of that. Do you see what I'm saying about Campbell Walter and the combination that they have in that team? That could be the car that could challenge now, because Tom Coronel is no slouch at all.
Not at all, no. Tom's, like I said before, you know, experienced guy, so he's going to be getting the best out of that car for sure.
And that is... Well, that will be
That'll be Tom Coronel.
Yeah, that'll be him when he gets out. Jamie Campbell-Walter can have his first stint. But the Ferrari back in the lead. That's Haseman's out, number 3. So Joran Bleekemolen can take a rest. That's Michael Bleekemolen taking over from Sebastian Bleekemolen. Sebastian started the race, and they are definitely changing. And they were right up before with those Chrysler Vipers of the Car Sport Honda team, and they've dropped off the pace a little bit, as has Bouchou, who comes in for Jean-Philippe Belloc to take over. Marc Duez with the other Ferrari. Oh, anywhere will do with that wheel. It rather won't if it starts to roll away. It may have had something of a problem there, and that is rolling away. That sort of a panicky sort of pit stop, this one, for Sebastian and Michael Bleekemolen.
It's normally the single mechanic on each side of the car, so obviously they have to do the front and the rear, just having to move as fast as they can. Normally they just chuck the tyre away, obviously, once it's off, to get the new one on as fast as possible.
Well, all starting to develop around the pit stops. It'll be interesting to see just how this develops. Under the Paul Belmondo cars in at the moment. The change being made there. Vincent Voss about to vacate the car. And news in my headphones comes in that at the moment it's still very much the Ferrari in the lead. We have a monitor screen that can pick up everything else that's happening, as well as the pictures that you're seeing. And of course with me I've got Jamie Davis as Bavini goes through. Tim Sugden was up into second place in the NGT class a little while ago. So this little battle a little bit further down the field, but there's the Lister Storm. And that isn't, of course, the Ferrari, though red it is. It is, in fact, the 5 Ferrari. It's the 5 Ferrari. That of Marc Duez now, who's sharing it with Emmanuel Nespeti. And there is Tom Coronel, who's got a bit of work to do as the 12 car exit the pits. Boris Dietrichberg out in that one, and in that one, Peter Cox. Cox, Coronel and Springer. Now, can Coronel bring this lead of Peter Cox's down? He's going to try, and we're going to watch it in just a few moments. "65 laps gone, 1 hour 37 minutes, and it's still the Ferrari that leads. And the Ferrari that is coming into the pits as I speak. So from Peter Cox, it will go back to Ricard Rydell. Well, apologies for that. It is 1 hour 37 minutes. Minor technical problem that our engineers have fixed mega fast, and this car also going mega fast as well. Peter Cox, but the gap now only down to 4.8 seconds from Tom Coronel. We were right. Coronel and the Jamie Campbell-Walter partnership are closing in on the Ferrari.
Yeah, obviously Coronel's getting the best out of the Viper,
Lister Storm,
sorry, yeah, and you know, he's pushing hard. He's got the Ferrari in his sights, and if he can keep closing down the gap, then obviously you know, he's going to be putting a bit of pressure there on Mr. Cox.
Well, that's not the sort of pressure we're talking about. There's a problem there. There's a problem there. Is that a drive shaft possibly? Or has he just lost the transmission?
Difficult to say. It looks like it's dropping something out of the rear, possibly an engine or something. Gearbox.
Oil.
It's definitely oil coming out, yeah.
So the sooner he can get that car, that's Tom Coronel with the Lister Storm. He was catching, he won't now. So relief for the Ferrari, and Tom Coronel will just park it up. Disappointment for Jamie Campbell-Walter again, disappointment for Tom Coronel, disappointment for Lister Storm. Julian Bailey still in the race, but the car now parked up. And the assistance there. Oh, they're going to need that assistance, and that fire extinguisher fairly quickly, and he gets out of the car. Tom Coronel, that was a scramble, and that car has got nobody in it now. It's coming back across towards the roadway there. They've got the fire extinguisher working now. Not the way you want to end your motor race. Tom Coronel getting quite a scare.
For sure, yeah. It's not the situation you want to be in, yeah. You know. I mean,
and along the oil slick that you saw, it's burning there as well.
See, Tom looks a little bit flustered there.
Yeah, I think I would be shaken and stirred. But and they're still on this side of the car. They don't realise that on this side of the car, our monitor screen should alert somebody to that. The car is still on fire on this side.
Imagine the Lister Storm team are not going to be too impressed with that, you know.
No, they've got the other fire extinguishers. Tom Coronel in the safety of the least seated ambulance. That doesn't do the heart too good, does it? And the flames are still going up around the Lister Storm.
So obviously, the car's still dropping the oil out or whatever, and making it very flammable.
And making it a lot easier now for the Ferrari.
For sure, yeah. I mean, the Ferrari were getting under pressure there, and now it's made their day certainly a lot easier.
And anybody watching around Banbury from the Pro Drive team will be rubbing their hands together. Well, that shares in Dave Richards' outfit, Pro Drive, because they're going to sell the Ferrari cars. They're going to be customer cars. And on a performance like today...
I'd imagine plenty of people are going to want to get them.
Lister have got a problem. And I think Jamie Campbell-Walter in the pit road now will be sort of biting his knuckles and saying, you know, what have we got to do? I mean, it looked for all the world that they were... Tom Coronel was doing exactly the job he was put in the seat for. He was closing up, he was coming. The Ferrari must have been able to see in the mirrors. And there's a playback of that. Your worst nightmare.
Just obviously burnt through some of the piping, and it's just a big flash fire there.
And Tom Coronel scrambling.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. It looks like the fire is eventually completely extinguished. There's going to be a fair amount of time in the workshop there, isn't there?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's a big problem when you have that situation, and the car, the brakes, everything is so hot that it's all there to ignite the problem.
Listening to the voice of Jamie Davis, my name's Tony Delahunty, and you're watching a Ferrari looking for its first victory. It's the All-Star Pro Drive Ferrari, and it's got to be on now, hasn't it?
I think so, yeah. Everything's looking good at the moment for them. The car's looking good. It looks well balanced. They've had no dramas in the pit stop so far.
Sounds like a circus act, doesn't it? The magnificent Bleekemolen. I mean, with Hazeman's in the number 3 car at the moment. Bleekemolen's in the Carsport Honda team in both second and third place. And Nicholas Springer not really able as yet to get right up with the sort of pace that's necessary for after the challenge that Julian Bailey had really made.
That's right. I mean, maybe just a bit more running with the car, just to try and get that little bit more out of it.
But seat time is what it's all about. So
Exactly.
sprinter's got to get more time in the seat. Julian Bailey, who's really made a career out of sports car racing after his brief flirtation with Formula One. Would have many, perhaps if he'd got in the right team, might have made it.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Even you.
Quite possibly, you know. I mean, there's still a chance for me yet. I'm not finished yet, you know. I mean, still pushing
But the more
hard.
likely route would be sports cars. Now, would I be correct in saying?
At the moment, for me, I'm looking at sports cars and champ car in America. You know, that's the two areas which we're interested in.
Let's look at the end of the Jamie Campbell-Walter Tom Coronel challenge. Doesn't look like there's anything too much to worry about here at the moment, apart from the fact it's obviously not going to compete any further in the race. Just joined us, just watch this. There it was, just stationary now. That is the other car. Not showing it going up in flames, the other one.
I'm sure the team's going to be very interested in knowing what the problem was there.
The telemetry will prove that.
Well, yeah, once they get it back to the garage, you know. But I'd imagine they want to speak to Tom and see if it, you know, if it was an engine problem or whether it was gearbox or, you know, what the problem was. And they're going to be
production
obviously
team are telling me, as I'm speaking, that they reckon that the start of the problem was in fact a linkage snapping apart, and I think that was on the drive shaft. We think that was on the drive shaft. That may have caused other problems as it came loose. And the oil had gone, broken the engine. Fire.
Reaction.
O'Rourke will come out. Sugden will get in. So Tim Sugden with the job of trying to get the car towards the podium in NGT. Haseman's in second position with the Chrysler Viper. Being the only non-Bleekemolen in the Car Sport Honda team.
Obviously feeling a bit lonely.
Car Sport Holland team, I should say. Haseman, of course, who's shared with Tom Coronel before a victory on the circuit. There's Michael Bleekemolen in third place. So it's Michael Sebastian sharing that car. Jurgen Bleekemolen the younger. And of course there's a Bleekemolen the older as well.
It's very confusing.
Well, one thing that isn't too confusing though is that they're all quick.
Exactly.
Fabini about to be lapped on a second place car. Fabini, of course, in the 993 NGT car. And you know, anything could happen yet. The reliability, although the Ferrari was tested, I think, at full race distance at Dijon before this event, and the reliability not seeming to be a problem either.
That's right. Most of the teams, obviously, you know, these cars have been tested. So, you know, they quite often do race distances just to see what the problems are. I mean, the design which goes into the car is, you know, it's a lot of work in the background which most people don't get to see. A lot of development, a lot of testing, and I mean, there's anything can happen, you know, with these cars.
Look at that gap. 1 minute 23.584. Also pit stops to come, etc. The Ferrari is now literally dominating this race.
It is really now, yeah. You know, the challenge was there from the Lister, but obviously now that one's out. It's looking good for them now.
And they're into the pit road for the change. I think that's just simply for the change to go back to Ricard Rydell. Both these drivers, by the way, Peter Cox and Ricard Rydell, with a little bit of a back problem at the moment, so this could be telling on them as well. But it's had a very good lead indeed. Almost lapped the entire field before this change. And yes, Cox coming out, Rydell getting in. And I would think that there's probably a bank manager in Banbury that's rubbing his hands at the moment.
Quite possibly.
Pro Drive team base there. You can see them as you pass on the motorway. I know an awful lot of Pro Drive supporters come from Ruthin in North Wales, where Dave Richards initially went to school before becoming a very competent rally person as well.
That's right. I mean, you know, a great outfit there with ProDrive. The preparation on the cars is, you know, superb. A lot of effort goes into it, and it's showing this weekend for sure.
You were a karter, I remember, very much a karter, a British champion. Jamie Richards, son of Dave Richards, was a karter, and I'll tell you what a style he had. It was really quite thrilling to watch. It was like a rally karter. It really was very quick. But, is this taking a bit more time than we thought? I'll tell you that I think amongst the NGT class, and I'd like to check on the leader of that class at the moment, I think the Ferrari of David Terrien is going for the first time quite well. Now let's hear from this man. What has he got to say? He's had a scorching time, literally.
Tom, we saw some very spectacular pictures there. Firstly, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. I just feel like a little burnt in my suit, but for the rest, I don't think there's a problem. It was a really short time. I could smell the fuel because the prop shaft broke, and I could feel the vibration coming. It was already some laps before. I already radioed, and then it just broke. But yeah, then I could hear the fuel. But at first I had to put all the buttons down because otherwise it keeps on spraying fuel. And then I got out of the car. Yeah, it's a pity because we were catching up the leaders. We were nearly there.
Thanks, Tom.
Tom Coronel, what an experience for him. And, you know, from the possibility of victory to disaster, really.
It's not the situation you want, obviously.
Well, the 3 car of the Chrysler Vipers, Car Sport Holland, continues on its way. And of course, there has been a change, so we'll see a leaderboard change as well. But there are more pit stops for others to make. Ferrari having made theirs. Very much a team effort, this type of racing, not just the drivers there as well. I mean, the technical people having to keep the check on all the time, download the data, make sure it works. The Chrysler Viper's working, but in a short space of time, this Ferrari has really got its act together.
Yeah, you know, obviously the car's a good base to work from right from the beginning. Having you know, the Ferrari background, then you know, they've got a good piece of equipment to work from, and you know, they've worked on that well. They've produced the car now which is capable of winning races. So you know, it's all credit to ProDrive.
Don't forget victories earlier if you've only joined us recently. For Norman Seaman, an astonishing race. He started 7th on the grid, but with an awful lot of cars falling off one way or another, and the pole man, Tommy Rustad, who finished 3rd, having had a stop-go penalty. Well, Seaman just kept his act together to win the European Touring Championship Super Production. Earlier on, an Italian gentleman named Tarquini won from pole, and as the grids were reversed to start last, after Larini, who had a very bad first race, had started from the front row, well, Larini did not finish in first place. Tarquini did it again. So great for the Italians there, and it's an Italian Ferrari, the British-based team even, that is leading this race in the FIA GT Championship. They're the Chrysler Viper, shared between Mike Hasemans and Iran Blikemolen. Beautiful day. And from most of the positions on this track, I think the spectators can see it all the way around.
It's quite a good viewing circuit, actually. If you just stand there in the grandstands at the Castrol Curve, then you can see most of the circuit. So, you know, in that respect, it's good for the spectators.
There's the championship leader just passing. Jean-Philippe Belloc in the car, or Christophe Puchu. And now Sebastian of the Bleekermolens in car 4. They have 2nd and 3rd place. Julian Bailey will get another stint before too long, if we haven't actually missed that at the moment, with keeping up with the front leading battle. Sebastian Bleekermolen with a fairly lonely road ahead of him. Got the company of one of the NGT cars.
They have a Ferrari filling in mirrors pretty soon.
So Hasemans is 19.6 seconds ahead at the moment in that number 3 car of Ricard Rydell. Rydell will pull him in at about half a second or more a lap. no, 3/4 of a second a lap probably. Pit stop.
Exactly.
Will this Ferrari get its first victory at the A1 ring? It's lying in second place at the moment, the gap just under the 19 seconds now. If you want to find out only one place to be, stay with us. We'll take you to the conclusion right after the break. We rejoin the race on board. Rydell with the lead, just counting down on the clock in that top corner of your screen on the left-hand side. Just over 10 minutes to go. We'll try to a splattered screen there. Peter Cox waiting there, looking at the computer. Nervous time when you're the co-driver. Nervous time, I suppose, when you're the driver.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time as a driver where you start hearing all of the noises, which probably are not anything to worry about. But when you're in this situation, you know, you're always concerned with any type of noise from the engine or gearbox or, you know, any of the transmissions. So, you know, Ricard's going to be concentrating on that, but also just trying to keep the car smooth. And, you know, with these 10 minutes to run, then he's looking in good shape, really.
Bleekemolen in second place, Jeroen Bleekemolen. Oh, and that is Bouchou, who's won the championship. Can also, yeah, anyone can make a mistake. He's a little bit further back down the field, but I don't think he's too worried about that. Just get through to the finish. And the Rydell Cox partnership, with less than 10 minutes to go, likely to win the race, if not, of course, the championship, because that will be Bouchou and Bellox with the Chrysler Viper. Little lights on there at the front. Jeroen Bleekemolen from Michael Bleekemolen is his. In second and third place. Julian Bailey back in the Lister Storm is in fourth place as I speak. Now, when you've got a splattered windscreen like that, you have got wash white wipers on it. Is it dangerous to put them on? Oh, there's a... That was playing back with the Bouchou.
Yeah. It is dangerous sometimes. I mean, if you can make do, then I personally prefer to, you know, just to leave it so that it's not smeared, because that is the biggest problem. Because not only is it flies, obviously, which are stuck on the windscreen, it's also a lot of oil, a lot of dirt from the other cars. And as soon as you start putting some water and some soap with the wiper on that, then it just tends to smear it, and obviously then it just makes matters completely worse. So if I can make do, then normally I would leave it like that.
One person who will not be making do of any points in this is the NGT Championship leader, Luca Riccatelli, with a problem with the mixture there between water getting into the petrol or whatever. Certainly problems for that. Porsche 996, to look dominant earlier, is out of the race, and I'll tell you who's leading it. A Ferrari in NGT, the one of David Terrier. So it could be a Ferrari double. So sort of Italian links all over the place here, isn't
possibly their weekend, I think, this weekend, the Ferrari.
An Italian Tarquini wins both the Super Touring Car races. Mind you, a German won the
That's right.
production touring car race. And here it looks like a Ferrari heading for victory, be it a Ferrari being looked after, of course, by a very British team.
Exactly.
Julian Bailey in fourth place. And all clear ahead for Ricard Rydell. Good partnership with Peter Cox. Cox, who probably fancied winning the, having a double and winning the super reduction as well. Didn't fare very well in that one, coming off in an accident very early on. And here's the third placed Sebastian Bleekemolen to take it through to the flag. So the Car Sport Holland teams in second and third, and Bailey in fourth place. Total professional, he'll know what he really could have been expected, but I think, you know, we'll pat ourselves a little bit on the back. If it hadn't have gone so wrong for Tom Coronel, we might have seen a classic finish to this race.
Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, you know, Tom was in a good situation there. Very unfortunate to have that problem. And you know, Julian Bailey now, he's trying hard, but I don't think they're going to make any impression on the Ferrari now.
Ferrari in the lead, then the Chrysler Vipers. This is the fifth place, the man behind Bailey, Christophe Bouchou. already has the championship, but he's got to stack a few more points up. Always as well to get those. 3 rounds still to come. Nürburgring, Rama Estoril, September the 8th and 9th, Nürburgring. You'll be able to hear again the dulcet tones of the man alongside me today, Jamie Davis, who would far rather be racing. This is a team manager out there. What do you guys do? Do you wait for the phone to ring? Do you go knocking on doors? What do you do?
I have some management who are constantly talking to teams, just try and get to some of the races as well, just to show your face around. And in the meantime, just keep it in the gym all the time, just working out and try and keep in shape, ready for you know, when you get that call or when you get that opportunity to get in one of the cars.
There's so many for so few, really, when it comes down to it, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
As a professional racer.
It's not easy to break into, you know, but you just got to keep working and don't give up.
Well, I'm sure this young man, 19-year-old, we'll hear a lot about him. You're on Bleekemolen. And the car 70 there that has just been overtaken, Von Gartzen, but they had an excursion earlier on when they were flying quite high in the NGT class.
See the Ferrari team there looking anxious to hope their car continues.
Rydell and Cox with the Ferrari 550. Rydell with the job of bringing it home. Still Bleekemolen in second, Bleekemolen in third. That's your own from Sebastian. Julian Bailey in 4th place. Christophe Bouchou in 5th position. Pescatori, who shares with David Terrien. I should say David, really, of the French, shouldn't we? Not David, David.
I'll leave that to you.
Okay. I thought David was Welsh. Well, it's the Gaelic, isn't it? So Ferrari leading in both NGT and overall in the race. And from Niamarim, a gap of 7.654 seconds. And Luca Riccatelli, who had been leading in his Porsche 996 GT3R, must be saying to himself, well, this was my race, and it isn't.
Very frustrating.
And the clock ticking away. And Rydell now just making sure he gets everything right. Nicholas Larini could give him perhaps a bit of advice now, couldn't he? Please. Don't want to remind Nicholas too much about that, but he went off when it looked like he had an unassailable lead.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what you want to do, you know. Doesn't really need to try that hard now. Just needs to bring it home. Just keep concentrating.
Peter Cox there saying one more lap.
That's right, yeah.
One more lap.
Yeah.
Well, there's more than one car packed up on the very last one. We're riding with Ricard Rydell. We can pop a cork or two in Banbury this evening, because it's going to be the first victory for the Ferrari. That's Julian Bailey there. Has Julian just unlapped himself? Maybe the Ferrari has just eased back, turned the wick down a little bit. Waiting to celebrate, big smile on Peter Cox's face. Never yet, never yet. Wait until the flag has dropped. 3 hours of FIA, and on the cards it looks like the red car.
I think it's possible he's actually just backing off to make it to the 3 hours.
Well, that's right, because there's nothing he needs to do. There's fair gap, I think about 40 seconds, something like that,
exactly,
between he and the second place man. And the
no need to do one more lap if they don't need to.
And the Team Car Sport Honda cars of the Bleekermolens, shared with one other, Mr. Haysmans. They could be pretty happy too, but as concerned look there, it is the last lap.
Didn't quite make it. I think they've got to do one more.
For Peter Cox, the Dutchman. Very competent Dutchman in both touring cars, in the production touring cars, and also in the GT cars as well. It's Rickard Rydell and the Swede. With less than a mile now to go to the checkered flag. You say the hardest one is the last one?
Driving very careful there. Just not using any revs on the engine, braking incredibly early there.
You just feather it now, don't you?
Just coasting it home.
Take it home. Driving about 8/10 now.
Oh, for sure. Probably less than that.
Many of us will never, ever, at anything, have the thrill of winning. What does it feel like at a serious level, like you've been, Jamie?
It's you know, a great feeling. It's just a big adrenaline rush, and you know, once you've tasted it, you want more. It's you know.
You certainly do, don't you?
For sure, yeah. You know, I mean, we're pushing forwards, trying to get a deal for next season.
Good luck to Jamie Davis in that. And luck to the Ferrari team here. Call it the Pro Drive All-Stars, and on this day, it doesn't belie the name.
Exactly.
And there's the checkered flag. Rydell goes across. There's the delight. 2 races. The second one, a victory. Rickard Rydell. Peter Cox at the A1 ring. Good day too for the Bleekemolen's. Ala Hazeman with them. You're on Bleekemolen, who the second fastest and effectively the grid decider between the top 6, after having qualified quickest before that top 6 selected itself to go into that shootout. He finishes in second place. And we'll see Sebastian Bleekemolen shortly. Comes through in third. Julian Bailey with the surviving Lister Storm. The other Lister Storm, oh, Bouchou is not finished. Or he's pulled across. No, he's not finished. He's not finished on the last lap. He hadn't pulled across. David Terrier is going to finish. Pescatori in the car. It is Ferrari who are going to win. Unless this guy does something wrong now and proves me a bigger idiot than maybe some that really know.
I think he could almost,
I am already.
almost coast from there now.
Yeah, he can take it home. Oh, I mean, he must be counting his lucky stars as well. He was saying, we're down on power, can't do this, car won't do that, we don't know what's going wrong. Nothing's going wrong now. Maybe Luca Riccatelli, the Italian, had to retire. David Terrien will be watching from the pit road as Christian Pescatori wins NGT. And the Ferraris, well, the Italians can smile. Very significant for the Ferrari 550 Maranello car. Definitely, Dave Richards was saying that this is a car for the customer. They want to develop this car. They haven't got an awful lot more to do to it, I would have thought.
It certainly performed well this weekend, that's for sure. You know, they couldn't have asked for any better, really. You know, the only one other thing is this circuit is particularly special, a lot different on the setup than most, so you know, it's still to see if it can go as well in other places, but certainly proved the better this weekend.
Confirmation, Rydell and Peter Cox from the 2 Bleekemolen cars, and Nicholas Spinger with, of course, Julian Bailey. Bouchou classified 5th. David Terrien finishing 8th overall, also winning GTN. Stefano Telli up there as well. 11th overall, Steve O'Rourke, Tim Sugden. I think that gives them 3rd or 4th space in NGT. And there, Rickard Rydell. And there shortly afterwards will be Eurosport, and the Ferrari supporters got plenty of reason to be happy today. They win in both classes of the FIA GT. And let's hear now what Rickard Rydell has got to say.
Rickard, in only your second race and the Pro Drive team's second race, that's a remarkable achievement.
We're very, very happy. I mean, it couldn't go better for us. The testing went well. Peter and me, myself, we've done competitive times through our testing, and the team's just done a brilliant job, because we didn't do the Spa, and we tested for a couple of months, and the car is just much, much better than it was at Hungary when we first tried to be there. So I'm just really, really pleased, especially for the whole team.
So hopefully for next year as well, you should be in a position to challenge for the championship.
Well, we'll see. I think there'll be a few people interested maybe in the car, and there is a few cars for sale next year, so we'll see.
Thank you, Ricard. Well done.
Well, they won it. We'll have to get a car. Ring your bank manager. So the Ferrari with victory. Peter Cox and this man, Ricard Rydell. And in fairness, once that Jamie Campbell-Walter and Tom Coronel's car, hopes had gone up literally in smoke. It was really all over bar the shouting, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, those two looked the biggest challenge, and once they were out, that was the end of it, really.
So Duez is in third place in the championship. You can see Belloc and Boucher there, as we've been saying throughout the programme. Two French drivers already got the championship well and truly won. Bleeker Mullins are up there as well. Jamie Campbell-Walter, after doing so well this year, what bad luck he's having. You know, it's a back marker in the last race. This one, car goes up in smoke. Lister Storm back in 31 points in third equal place with Paul Belmondo Racing. Labra at the top of that particular pile. And this car and its drivers, Ricard Rydell and Peter Cox, on top of the world. Literally in the FIA Championship at the A1 ring. The delight there, very easy to see in the winning team. Delight also with the Ferrari in NGT, Pescatori and Terrien. Let's hear from David Terrien and get his viewpoint on how it all suddenly went right after suddenly, before that, after it had all been wrong.
Okay. David, you've been having problems all weekend with the lack of power. You weren't even in the Super Pole, and yet you win the race. How was the race?
It was incredible. We pushed very, very hard. We knew that we had to push all the race, and we did a good setup on the car this morning on the warm-up. We improved the car a lot, so we didn't have any problem with tires. The tires were very, very good along the race, so we didn't have to change the tires. So we won a lot of time in the pits, and we pushed all the lap like qualif laps, and we have been a bit lucky because Rochiteli broke the engine, but that's the race, and now we are closer than Rochiteli in the championship, and that's good, very good.
Thank you, David.
You raced against him in 3000, Jamie Davis?
Yes, yeah, he's been back in Formula 3000, drove for the Dams team, French Dams team, which was the team which I drove for back in 97 and 98.
Riccatelli keeps the points lead in GTN. Pescatori and Terrien just 4 points now. They've closed the gap, which was 14 points. And looking further along there, Pirrea and Newgarden. Newgarden, we heard from earlier in this. He's in 8th place. And there's been a lot for the crowd to find very interesting in this. They've watched a Ferrari get victory in both the GT and the NGT class. We've watched Tarquini dominant, magnificently dominant in a race he started from pole and when he started from very last place. We watched a young man, Norman Seaman, in the under-25 group, but not only win that group, but also win the race as well in the Super Production Touring. Alongside me throughout, yesterday and today, has been Jamie Davis. You know, I like having you alongside me, and I know that Martin Haven and other commentators love having you alongside me. Hope I don't see you too often alongside somebody. I want to see you out there.
Well, we're working on it. We'll see what happens.
Hope the phone rings for your managers too.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Well, that's about it from us. Don't forget the next round from the Nürburgring. This was when it all went up in smoke, nobody hurt. Tom Coronel scrambling clear. Well done to Ferrari, well done to the winners today. From me, Tony Delahunty and Jamie Davis, bye-bye.
The FIA GT Championship. With lease plan. Fleet management in motion. Filatice. Stretching fibers, fabrics and yarns.
Yoko.
And I come over, yeah, can't you feel the vibe is right? For us to get it on tonight, stop wasting time. Maybe it's the last chance to get the last thing. And I come over, yeah, can't you feel the vibe is right? For us to get it on tonight, stop wasting time. Maybe it's the last chance to get the last dance. I know it's you, baby, because you drive me crazy. The way that you're dancing has caused a chain reaction. I know that you want me.
The Eurosport Super Racing Weekend.